Hey everybody, Bobby Medina here with my good friend Paul Barron, and we are bringing you a very exclusive interview today with our dear friend Eric Miyashiro, somebody who doesn't need any kind of an introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyways. He's originally from Hawaii. Went to Berklee College of Music. His credits are way too long. They would fill up a novel. I mean, Buddy Rich, Woody Herman, Stevie Wonder. He's one of the probably first call session player in Japan right now, where he resides. He leads his own bands. He's an in-demand clinician. Accomplished composer and arranger. I understand also a trumpet professor at a few different universities or colleges out there, and a Yamaha performing artist as well. So welcome, Eric. It's great to have you here.
It's it's an honor to be here. I've seen these videos, and man, I'm so honored to be included in such a stellar lineup of the stars that you guys been having. So it's an honor, guys. Thanks for asking me to be here.
Well, great. We're glad you're here. In our group too, part of it. We really enjoy it. And Paul, I'm going to let you throw out the first question.
Sure. Well, Eric, I've always been interested in your transition from Woody Herman's band. I think that was the last time I saw you. In fact, it was in the the Peony in Vancouver, Canada. You and Greg Gisbert, and then I sort of lost track of what your career was doing. Can you tell us after that? And then I'm really interested in your transition to Tokyo, how that all came about, if you wouldn't mind sharing that.
All right, so let me go back a little. After spending time in Hawaii till my high school days, I moved to Boston to attend Berklee College, and I was the first reception. I got the first Maynard Ferguson scholarship that Berkeley offered, and I was pretty psyched about that.
Oh, wow,
So I
that
was
is
able to,
awesome.
uh, yeah. So and 2 years later, I got a call to join Buddy's band, and when Buddy died, 3 years afterwards, I joined Woody's band, took over Roger Ingram's share, and after about 2 months, Woody Herman died. So there's a pattern here, and after that, I did Mel Lewis's band, and sure enough, Mel passes away. He passed about 2 months later. So
Oh no.
I saw Maynard in 2002 in Tokyo. Yeah, and Maynard said, "Stay away from me, Eric. I know your reputation." And I told the same story to Bobby Shu, and Bobby said, "I have a few suggestions, Eric." So, yeah. So anyway, after Woody's band, and doing the some short stay road bands, I just got tired of living out of a suitcase. So, since my mom was from Japan, I just thought that maybe I'll just hang out in Japan for a little while. And the reason being is that when I was on the road for about 5, 6 years, I don't want to get into like the politics and stuff, but I've encountered my share of racial profiling and stuff. And some of the clubs that we played on Buddy's band in a deep in the South, and some of the club owners wouldn't even let me into the club through the front door. And he said, you coming from the back. And some of the restaurants wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't serve me, and that kind of freaked me out because I was always raised as American, I always, sang the national anthem, the flag raising ceremony every morning, and I played that little bugle thing. Every morning I showed up to school at 7 in the morning because I just wanted to play. So I consider myself, American, but being told that I wasn't kind of really messed me up a little while. I didn't know who I was, and I was talking to my mom about that, and my mom said that maybe you should, live in Tokyo for a little while and to see what that's gonna, bring you, because you have two homes. That's what my mom said, and I thought that was the coolest thing that she told me, that in the U.S. and Japan you have two homes, so just give it a try, and that's what I did. Just I just I was planning to just stay here for a couple of months just to hang out and just rest from my road burns. And one thing led to another. A lot of the musicians in Tokyo recognized me from the Buddy videos and the Woody Herman recordings and stuff. So they started to throw me gigs, and met my wife, and that was like my 30 years ago. So
Congratulations.
that's my after the yeah, well, thank you. After the road kind of thing, that's what happened, Paul. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that wound up opening a bunch of doors for you in the long run. You made it over there. Now, just so we know a little bit more about you, did you grow up also like my mother was from Mexico, and I mean I'm from I call it the most northern part of Mexico. It's called East Los Angeles, California, and I grew up, she spoke Spanish to us all the time, but I grew up like you, I'm American and all of that. But my first language was actually Spanish. So was English your first language, or Japanese your first language in the house?
The English was, but my mom didn't speak too well, English wise, and my dad didn't speak Japanese. I don't know why they got married.
That's probably the secret to why they got along so well.
So I used to translate for them. So my first language was English. I would talk to my mom in English, and she would answer back in Japanese. So I had fair skill of listening Japanese. So when I moved here, it was kind of a easy transition, I guess.
Hmm.
Do
Well,
they
that's
in
great.
Tokyo? Do they feel that you have an American Japanese accent? Like when you speak Japanese, do
Not
they?
so much.
No. Okay. Good. It's probably because you're a great musician. You
That's
you hear those things.
well, that too, and it's been so long that I've been here. I don't speak any English anymore. So there.
Just on this subject, and then we'll get off it. We'll talk a little bit more about trumpet, but kind of what Paul was talking about, like, you know, uh, there's a song in a Mexican piece of music, and I'm considered a Mexican American, right? I have both. My mother was from Mexico, my father's from America, and so there's a song in Spanish called "Ni de aquí ni de allá," which means neither from here nor there. And sort of the gist of the song is Americans sometimes view me as a Mexican, and Mexicans view me as a gringo, and so I'm stuck sometimes stuck in this middle world. Do you find that same thing with you, or are you just totally there's no big deal when you're over there?
Um, I do feel a little different because well, a lot of people know my background. So some people are still a little, I don't know, distance, I wouldn't say maybe, but there is a little thing that sometimes they don't open up to me. I don't know, I don't know how to explain it,
Yeah.
but yeah, but mostly among musicians, it's been cool.
Yeah.
But when I first moved here, there was a lot of thing that people were very protective of their gigs, and not letting the foreigner come in and take their gigs away. So
Mm.
I had a little problems when I first got here, but now I I I always made it a habit when I was traveling and working in a different part of the country, and I always tried my best to not to take people's gig away, but to create a new one, you know, for myself. So that's what I did.
And then that also brings in other people that you're hiring as well. So it's probably a great way to make that bridge happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, tell us about a little bit about your big band that I've seen out there. You guys play some incredible music, and you're fronting this thing, and I mean your playing is just absolutely extraordinary. How long have you been doing that, and what sorts of gigs do you guys do? Who do you write all the charts? And fill us in a little bit on that.
When I was growing up, my first um, goal for what I wanted to do in high school and my college days was to become the best lead trumpet player in the world, and I was just focused only on that. And when I got here in Tokyo, what I wanted to do was just spend a couple of months in Tokyo, hang out, and move to New York or LA and become a studio musician. And that was my plan. But my plan changed when I got here and met so many beautiful people. Um, I started to do a lot of studio work here, and people started to ask me to guest solo for this band and this orchestra and things like that. And I, I, back in those days, I didn't want to front a band or play a solo in front of a band. I was, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to play lead trumpet. So at first, man, I felt very uncomfortable. I really didn't enjoy it. But as the years went on, and people seemed to like what I did in front of the band. So people asked me to, hey, when are you gonna get your own band? And we want to hire you as a band. And so I reluctantly I got a big band together, and all we did was play Maynard chart because I didn't have any chart. I didn't write at that time. So I just played the Maynard chase stuff, all the the high, fast, loud, things, and that seems to really cut on with a lot of the people here. So I did that for, man, 10, 15 years, and I kind of got a little tired of playing dead high note players music. um, you know and that kind of wore me out because I guess I grew as a musician, I guess, thankfully. I wanted to do something new. So I started to write a lot. So I got another band that focused on my writing and having a lot of the other people come in as a guest soloist and stuff. And Blue Note Tokyo was nice enough to sponsor me on that. So now it's going on 7 year, I guess, that I'm doing like a leader slash musical director for a Blue Note All Star band. And man, we had Faddis, Arturo, Peter Erskine, Pat Metheny, Marcus Miller, Benny
Wow.
Golson. Man, we had you know um, wonderful guests, and that's sort of my at the moment my I don't know, my project. So yeah, but I'm still being called to do a lot of the the high note solo stuff, and I can't I don't know, I try to uh, steer my career in a different direction, so to speak. As you
Do
know,
you find it's difficult? I mean, I was hanging out once with Arturo, and he said, you know, once he's known for playing high originally as well, and he says, I feel like I have to do it all the time, otherwise the people are going to be disappointed. But he says I would just as soon play ballads the whole time, but I can't do that. Do you find that to be the case with you as well?
exactly, about 10 years ago, I did a TV show, and they asked me to bring in five charts, and I at that point of my life, I said, man, I don't want to play high notes anymore, man. Kind of, I want to play more like a musical stuff, like. So I brought in a lot of ballads and flugelhorn solos, and after people watched that TV show, a lot of people said, "Man, Eric's having a bad chop, and he's not, he can't play high anymore."
Oh,
And and people were asking me, "Are you okay?" So Arturo is right. People want to hear that. Once you do it, people always want that. Of course, that part of the music is exciting and it's desirable for a lot of people, but and if you can, once you do it, once you feed the audience that, they'll probably want it more and more. So I'm at the point where I'm writing a lot of charts that will feature that, the more of a melodic side, but you'll end on a high note, kind of. you know
Mm.
uh,
So
sort
you
of.
can appease them and keep them happy and yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
well, Eric, one of the most beautiful pieces that I've heard on your recordings is your rendition of the Rocky theme. You know, the just beautiful, lush writing. Um, Talk about that a little bit. And I assumed that that was well received because it was so beautiful.
Oh, you mean the ballad,
Yeah, the
Rocky?
ballad is gorgeous. Yeah,
Well, thank you. I wrote that right after Maynard passed. That was in 2006, was it?
I think
Man, it
so.
was
Yeah, I
so.
have the album. It's the one with the dolphin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, what happened was that Ed Sargent, Maynard's manager, called me, and this was in, I think, was July 2006, I think. And they're planning to do a Japanese tour, but Ed said that, well, Maynard is a little sick, just between you and me, and he's not looking too good. So can you front the band for the Japanese tour? And that kind of shocked me, and I just realized that, man, I thought he was gonna live forever, the
Yeah.
way he was going. So that kind of caught me off guard, and I just kind of realized that he was the most influential trumpet player in my life, and he was the reason why I started to play. So after that, Maynard died, so that tour didn't happen, and I was just shocked. I didn't know what to do, so I was just at the piano sulking, and I was playing that the Maynard's, the solo on Rocky.
Uh-huh.
And I just realized that, man, I need to write something, and that arrangement is just based on, the original Rocky melody, and just put a different chords to it. And man, as I was writing that, man, I was like crying my eyes out, man. I couldn't help it, and everything kind of poured out.
Well,
So
it's
thanks.
beautiful. Yeah, for anybody that hasn't heard it, that may be watching this video, do yourself a favor and check it out. It's beautiful writing and playing by Eric.
So let's transition into another thing, because you were talking about it a while ago. You know, you were talking about, having to play these big long concerts, a lot of high stuff and all that. how does that work for you? You know, everybody's different. One of the things that Paul and I talk a lot about on the little site here within the group is that we're all different and there's not one way to do things. You know, in fact, sometimes one way might work for a while for you, and then you got to figure out another way to get out of it, you know. And sometimes we get in a rut, or we, you know, like I've gotten cut before, and you know, had little things happen. And what do you do when you, or maybe you never run into problems playing, but have you run into any problems playing, you know, with the demands that you have? And if so, what do you do to get out of them?
Oh my God, Bobby. I'm a encyclopedia of chop problems, man. I've gone through so many problems, and I'm still fighting this because I
Really?
feel that I feel that my chops are not really. I wasn't really born to become a trumpet player, since my well, anyway. I'm self-taught. I've never studied with anyone. And so, but growing up in Hawaii, um, there were so many musicians that worked in the Waikiki hotels. So guys like Gary Grant, Johnny Madrid,
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Chuck would come in, and Ollie Mitchell,
Uh-huh.
Jerry Hay, of course, started Ox, the band Ox, which became the Sea Wind afterwards. So there are tons of great trumpet players in the 70s. So I would hang out at the Union, would listen to these guys practice and do a rehearsal bands and stuff. So what I did was I just watched all these players and how they warmed up, how they played, how they warmed down, and I just watched them. And I realized they all did things differently. So I realized early on that there wasn't one right way or wrong way of doing this thing. So I just try to copy other things that they showed me, what I learned from them, and tried it on my chops. And if it didn't work, I moved on. So my way of playing is just a combination of a lot of different way of thinking. But with that being said, I don't believe in things like pedal tones, the tongue arches, like the Claude Gordon systems and things like that. And I don't. I think the air is so overrated. I strongly feel that, and you don't really want to, blame everything on the air. Of course, air is important, but it's everything, I guess. The chops, the chop tension, how you use the mouthpiece to manipulate your lips, or lips to manipulate the mouthpiece. That Maynard used to say that to me. He said, let your lips control the mouthpiece instead of the mouthpiece control your chops. So anyway, when I have a lot of problems with my lips being cut. I always cut my chops. And when I do that, I will sort of shift my mouthpiece or shift the weight to avoid the cut. So I've learned how to play on like 5 different embouchures to get through
Wow.
any given gigs, because I'm always fighting my lips. If I cut on this side, I will shift it to this side, and when this cuts, I will shift to this side, and I would, that back, so on and so on. And
Are you equal on each of those settings, or does one work better for you overall? Just out of
I
curiosity.
I do have the favorite spot, the one spot that kind of works the best. But I've kind of learned over the years that I'm able to manage certain level of the playing ability. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, is this partially from how loud you need to be playing, or does this have to do with pressure because you're playing up there, or because you're playing, like you said a while ago to Paul and I, you're getting ready to go to a
6 hour
6 hour
rehearsal.
rehearsal and a 2 hour studio session or something like that. So, I mean, that's a lot of playing, especially if you got to play high. I mean, how do you control the mouthpiece pressure?
Well, great question. I have a different setting for like a lead playing, and for like a high, loud Maynard type high note scream solo setting, and for like a classical studio setting combo. So I do shift the weight of my lips, and I guess I change the aperture, I guess. I try not to think about it too much, because when I do, I overdo these things. So I just mainly focus on the required sound at that given moment, the lead trumpet sound or the
Hmm.
solo high note sound and things like that. And like, I guess that kind of dictates the aperture. And I don't really change the way I breathe, taking in the air or breathing out, the compression and stuff, that like that. So I don't know.
Well, having spent so many years on the road myself, but in different kind of setting, mostly Broadway shows, I'm kind of thankful, having gotten beaten up so many times, that I think I've learned a few more things about my body that I might not have had I not gotten so fatigued and yet still have to play every single night. Do you think that your time on the road kind of helped you develop those different setups and how you shift and so on?
Oh my God, you know my crazy glue story, right?
I do, but please share.
Yeah, share it with everybody here.
Oh my God, this is about a year into Buddy's band, and that was my first road band, and I wasn't ready. I was too green. I I would like crash and burn every other day. I didn't know how to pace myself, and as like Paul, very well that traveling takes its toll. Lack of sleep, eating habits, and drinking habits. So about a year, not even a year, maybe it's like 8 months into the tour, I got a little cut that started on the left side of my lip, and we had to keep playing. So that cut started to open up and started to move to my right side and went inside my lip. And at the end, I had piece of meat just dangling off of my lip. And man, I couldn't play anymore. So I just remembered someone telling me Bobby Shu had a similar problem on Buddy's band, and he used a glue, like a model plane glue, to glue shut that cut. So I said, okay, man, I got to try something. So at the next truck stop, I found myself a super glue, and I glued that cut shut. And the next day, I woke up and it was like rock hard. And it's, oh man, am I going to be able to play? And I tried to make a sound out of the horn, and I could play, but it only gave me about 7 notes, that between top line G to about an E above high C. And that's like the money range for a lead trumpet, right? So I could sort of manage to get by with that for about the next 5 6 days. And when on the sixth day, and that big piece of crazy glue just peeled off by itself, and it was healed, and I could play again. So that kind of taught me what not to do.
Yeah.
And during the course of that 5-6 days, with having that crazy glue um, on my lip, and I kind of learned how to, I guess, shift my air, use my air on a different way, and try to find that the part of my lip that would vibrate. So that kind of taught me, it was a hard lesson, but from that point on, I was a little more efficient, and I knew where to sort of focus my lip instead of just using, the sheer air power only kind of thing,
Right about the time I think I met you, Eric, was in, I want to say 1986 at the Hot Jazz Club in Vancouver, Canada. And you had a bottle of Aqua Velva, a shaving aftershave, I think, on your music stand. And you would have to dab it to cauterize it, I think, during the gig. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, that sounds familiar, but I think the cut thing happened in '85. I think.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was a
Oh,
year.
maybe I saw you in
It was a
'85
year.
then. That could be.
Yeah, yeah.
So with this COVID and everything going on, it sounds like you're getting busier and busier again, but how has that affected things in Japan, the music business, live performance business? Has it killed it like it has done over here, or has it managed to go on, or have you transitioned into doing just more studio work? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it did kill everything. Everything came to a screeching halt in March, April, May. So those 3 months where there was nothing going on. But right around June, the numbers started to go down. So they started to open up the clubs, the halls, and the studios to about a half capacity. So everything, started to move towards opening up, starting back up. So right now, it's almost, I would say about 70% back to the norm.
Wow.
Yeah, but the Japanese people are really strict about their hygiene and keeping the mask. So it's been okay, the controlling, the numbers, but it's coming back up again. So who knows, who knows it's going to shut down again. But among the musicians, there has been no cases reported because the musicians really are being very careful. So it's been okay. Everything's kind of back, and I'm man, very happy to say that I'm back working again. So
Yeah, well, I'm glad for you and anybody that is. I've seen different people in different parts of the world, and there's some movement here and there, but for the most part, here we're still stuck, unfortunately. So, they're getting ready to roll out a vaccine. So hopefully, in the not too distant future, we'll be back up and running as well. Well, listen, I know we're almost out of time here. I want to ask you one thing, since this group is primarily trumpeters, both guys and gals that are not everybody, but most everybody 50 years and above. We have a lot of people here that have asked about, they're trying to come back or they haven't played for some time and they're trying to figure out some ideas to get their strength back, get their chops back, get their range back and all that kind of thing. What would Eric do if he were in a position like that?
this COVID thing kind of really messed me up spiritually. I didn't want to play. I didn't want to listen to music. I didn't. I just kind of stayed away from music for about a month. So and coming back from that, I realized that when I picked up my horn again after about 30 days of not playing, I didn't lose any range. I didn't lose any technical things, but the stamina, of course,
Hmm.
wasn't there. But also realized, but I stayed away, not listening to any music for 30 days. My listening skill went down really a lot. I couldn't play with another musician. My intonation was off. So I suggest keep listening. Um, and by listening, that will keep the part of your brain that the connection with your instrument and with your ability, I guess the whole music connection will be stronger if you keep listening a lot every day. And as far as the stamina goes, I've tried everything from using the peat, um, free buzzing all day, and endless long tones, but nothing worked. It when you get on the bandstand or in the studio, it's a whole different ball game. So um, I had to just kind of uh, uh, just kept working. um, nothing outside of nothing that in my practice room helped me stamina wise. That's what I found out. So I don't know if this is gonna help anybody the come back the players, but um, I guess try to find a chance to play with someone else, because when you're in a practice room, you're in control, so you're able to stop when you're tired, or when you make a mistake, you're able to stop and correct yourself. But when you're on a stage or when you're in a gig, you can't do that. So that's where the true stamina and the strength is required, and that's where you're gonna able to gain that, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, fortunately, we're all. Somebody posted on our page maybe last week. We're all comeback players. When COVID finally, we get a vaccine or whatever, we're all coming back. So hopefully, we'll all come back together.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you gotta split here in just a little bit and get off to your rehearsal. Paul's in the middle of a big move. I got my kids coming out tomorrow, so we're all running in our different ways. But thank you, both you guys, Paul and you too, Eric, for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. We're so glad you're in the group with us, and feel free to add some more words of advice and some of your wisdom, and chime in and join more conversations whenever you feel up to it, Eric. We love hearing from you, and keep up the great work. We'll be following you and checking out some of your new stuff, and keep us apprised of it, and if you got a new project coming out, let us know and we'll bring you back and we'll talk about it.
Thank you, guys. It's great to see you guys, and like I said, it's an honor to be asked to join you guys in this conversation. So let's do it again when we have a little more time.
You bet.
That sounds good. Thank you, Eric. It's our honor.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. See you
Aloha.
soon.
Right.